She was branded the most racist woman in the state. A viral video turned her into a monster overnight, and the entire world wanted her destroyed. Abandoned by friends, attacked by strangers, and trapped behind the walls of her own privilege, Vanessa van der Hoeven had nowhere left to hide. So when a death threat shattered her window, her cold-hearted father hired the one man who had every reason to hate her. Marcus Thorne, a former Marine who believed she was everything wrong with people like her. Forced into hiding in a remote mountain cabin with a bodyguard who could barely look at her, Vanessa faced a truth more terrifying than any assassin. The woman the world hated wasn't the woman she actually was. But as walls came down and secrets spilled out, Marcus began to see past the headlines, and what he discovered would change everything. If you're watching this, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because this story of betrayal, redemption, and impossible love will leave you breathless. The restaurant was one of those places where people came to be seen. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls. White tablecloths stretched across every surface. Soft piano music drifted through the air. Vanessa van der Hoeven sat alone at a table near the window. Around her, the other tables were empty. Not because the restaurant wasn't busy, it was. She could hear laughter and conversation from the other side of the room. But here, in her section, there was only silence. She picked up her water glass with steady hands. Her face showed nothing. No emotion, no pain. Just the cool, blank expression she'd practiced in the mirror every morning for the past 6 months. Inside, though, she was breaking. A man in a black suit approached her table. The maitre d'. He had kind eyes, but his smile didn't reach them. "Ms. van der Hoeven," he said quietly, "I'm terribly sorry, but we've received several complaints from other guests. They're uncomfortable with your presence." Vanessa's throat tightened. She set down her glass. "I haven't done anything," she said. Her voice came out softer than she intended. "I know, miss, but given the circumstances..." He gestured vaguely, as if that explained everything. The circumstances. He meant the video, the one that had been shared millions of times, the one that made her the most hated woman in Chicago. "I see," Vanessa said. She stood up, her movements graceful despite the humiliation burning through her chest. "Thank you for your honesty." She walked through the restaurant with her head high. She could feel eyes on her. Whispers followed her like shadows. Outside, her driver was waiting. He opened the door without meeting her eyes. The ride back to her penthouse took 20 minutes. Vanessa stared out the window at the city lights. Chicago looked beautiful at night. All those lights, all those people living their lives. None of them knew what it felt like to be her. To be trapped inside a lie so big it had swallowed her whole life. Her penthouse was on the 40th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city spread out below. Marble floors, designer furniture, everything perfect and cold. Vanessa dropped her purse on the entrance table. She walked to her phone, which was charging on the kitchen counter. 47 new messages. She didn't need to read them to know what they said. She opened social media, just for a second, just to see if anything had changed. It hadn't. The video was trending again. Someone had reshared it with a new caption. "Remember when this racist heiress thought she could get away with it?" Vanessa's hands shook as she put the phone down. She walked to the mantel above her fireplace. There was a photo there, the only personal item in the whole apartment. Her mother, beautiful and smiling, holding 5-year-old Vanessa on her lap. Her mother had died when Vanessa was 12. Sometimes, Vanessa wondered what her mother would say if she could see her now. "I'm sorry, Mom," Vanessa whispered to the photo. I don't know how to fix this. She stood by the window for a long time, looking out at the city. All those people down there, living normal lives, going to dinner with friends, walking down the street without everyone staring. Vanessa pressed her forehead against the cold glass. She'd never felt more alone. The next morning, Vanessa woke to bright sunlight streaming through her bedroom windows. For one peaceful moment, she forgot everything. Then reality crashed back. She made coffee in her state-of-the-art kitchen. The machine was so complicated, she'd had to watch 3 videos to learn how to use it. She'd grown up with staff who did everything for her. Learning to do basic tasks herself had been an education. She was standing by the window with her coffee when she heard it. A loud crash. Glass exploded across her living room floor. Vanessa screamed and dropped her cup. Coffee splashed across the white marble. There, in the middle of her living room, was a brick. Vanessa's heart hammered. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The panic attack hit her like a wave. Her vision narrowed, her chest tightened. She couldn't get air into her lungs. She sank to the floor, her back against the wall, gasping. The door to her apartment opened. Her father walked in, his keycard still in his hand. Conrad van der Hoven was 68, silver-haired, and always wore suits that cost more than most people's cars. Behind him was his assistant, a nervous young man named Peter. "Vanessa." Her father's voice was sharp. "Get up. You're being dramatic." She couldn't speak, couldn't explain that she wasn't being dramatic. She literally couldn't breathe. Conrad walked to the brick and picked it up. There was a note wrapped around it, held in place with rubber bands. He read it, his expression unchanging. Then he tossed it onto the couch. "We know where you sleep," he read aloud. "Charming." "Dad?" Vanessa managed to gasp out. Someone wants to hurt me." "Yes, well, that's what happens when you become a public embarrassment." He looked at Peter. "Call that security firm, Ironclad. Tell them we need someone immediately." "You're hiring security?" Vanessa said. She was finally breathing again, but her whole body was shaking. "Obviously, I can't have my daughter murdered. The stock price would tank." Conrad straightened his tie. "Pack a bag. You're going somewhere safe until this blows over." "Where?" "I don't know yet. That's what I'm paying the security people to figure out." He headed for the door. "And Vanessa? Stop crying. It makes you look weak." The door closed behind him. Vanessa sat on her floor, surrounded by broken glass, and let the tears come. Marcus Thorne sat in the conference room at Ironclad Security, his jaw tight. His boss, a former Army colonel named Richards, slid a folder across the table. "The van der Hoven job," Richards said. "High profile. Good money. Should be simple." Marcus didn't touch the folder. "No." "Marcus, I know who she is, sir. Everyone knows who she is." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "I'm not protecting a racist." Richards sighed. "You saw one video, Stone. You don't know the whole story." "I saw enough." Marcus stood up. "Find someone else. Your mother's surgery is in 6 weeks." Marcus stopped. Richards opened the folder and pulled out a check. He held it up so Marcus could see the amount. $50,000. Half up front, half on completion. 30 days of work. "Your mom needs that hip replacement," Richards said quietly. "The VA is dragging their feet. You need this money." Marcus thought about his mother, about how she'd raised him alone after his father died, about how she'd worked 2 jobs to put him through school, about how she now couldn't walk to the mailbox without pain shooting through her leg. He thought about the video he'd seen. The white woman in designer clothes screaming at a black driver. The hatred on her face. But he also thought about his mother saying, Baby, sometimes the right thing is hard. That's how you know it's right. Marcus sat back down. He picked up the folder. 30 days, he said. Not a day more. That's all we need. Richard smiled. Her father wants her moved to a safe house. You'll be her primary protection. Full coverage. Marcus opened the folder and looked at the photo clipped to the front page. Vanessa van der Hoven looked different than she had in the video. In this photo, she looked sad, lonely. Her blue eyes stared at the camera without any warmth. She was beautiful, he realized, which made it worse somehow. Beautiful and cruel. When do I start? Marcus asked. Today, 3 o'clock, her penthouse. Richards handed him an address. And Stone, keep it professional, no matter what you think of her. Yes, sir. Marcus left the office and sat in his truck for a while, staring at the folder. He pulled out his phone and called his mother. Marcus! Her voice was warm, full of love. Baby, I was just thinking about you. Hey, Mama. He smiled despite himself. How you feeling? Oh, you know me. Can't keep a good woman down. She laughed, but he could hear the pain underneath it. How's work? Got a new job today. Good money. That's wonderful. What kind of job? Marcus hesitated. Security detail, protecting someone for a month. Anyone I'd know? No, Mama, nobody important. The lie tasted bitter. Listen, about your surgery. I've got the money now. We can schedule it. There was silence on the other end. Then his mother's voice, thick with emotion. Marcus Elijah Thorne, you didn't do anything foolish, did you? No, Mama, it's honest work, I promise. Okay, baby, okay. She sniffled. You're such a good son. I don't know what I did to deserve you. You're my mom. That's all you had to do. After he hung up, Marcus looked at Vanessa's photo again. Just 30 days, he said to himself. He pulled out of the parking lot and headed toward the penthouse. Marcus arrived at the building at 2:45. The doorman looked him up and down, his expression skeptical. I'm here for Ms. van der Hoven, Marcus said. He showed his ID. Security. The doorman's eyebrows went up, but he stepped aside. 40th floor, penthouse A. The elevator was mirrored on all sides. Marcus checked his reflection. 6'3", 220 pounds of muscle. Clean-shaven, professional. He wore dark pants, a dark shirt, and a blazer that hid his holster. He looked like exactly what he was. Someone you didn't mess with. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. Marcus stepped out and stopped. The place was massive. Everything was white and silver and glass. Art on the walls that probably cost more than his truck. The broken window had already been boarded up, but there was still glass on the floor. Hello? A woman appeared from another room. She was small, maybe 5'4", with pale blonde hair pulled back in a tight bun. She wore cream-colored pants and a silk blouse. Her face was carefully made up, but her eyes were red. Vanessa van der Hoven. She looked at him, and something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, or fear. You're from Ironclad? She asked. Her voice was cool, controlled. Yes, ma'am. Marcus Thorne. I'll be your primary protection for the next 30 days. She studied him. Her gaze moved from his face to his hands to his shoes and back up again. He could see her calculating, judging. I see, she said finally. She didn't offer to shake his hand. My father hired you? Yes, ma'am. And what exactly do you plan to protect me from? Bad reviews? Her tone was bitter. Marcus didn't react. From whoever threw that brick through your window, ma'am. From whoever wrote you that note. From anyone who wants to hurt you. I don't need a bodyguard. I need people to forget. Unfortunately, I can't help you with that. Marcus looked around the room. I need to sweep the apartment for bugs and check all entry points. Do you have any other keys out there? Ex-boyfriends? Staff members? Her face tightened. My ex-fiancé has a key, but he wouldn't. I'll need that lock changed today. Marcus pulled out a small notebook. Anyone else? Just my father and the building staff. Okay, new rule. No one comes in without my clearance. That includes your father. You can't tell my father? Ma'am, with respect, either I do this my way or I walk right now. Marcus met her eyes. Your call. She stared at him for a long moment. He could see anger in her eyes, but also something else. Fear. Fine, she said quietly. Do whatever you need to do. Marcus spent the next hour checking the apartment. He found 3 potential entry points besides the front door. The windows didn't lock properly. The service entrance had a weak deadbolt. The balcony could be accessed from the next unit over. This place was a security nightmare. When he came back to the living room, Vanessa was sitting on her white couch, holding a glass of wine. Well? She asked. We can't stay here, Marcus said. Too many vulnerabilities. Whoever sent that threat knows exactly where you are. So what do you suggest? Your father mentioned a safe house. We'll go there tonight. Tonight? She stood up quickly. I have things to do. Ma'am, someone wants to hurt you. We don't wait around to see how serious they are. She set down her wine glass with shaking hands. Fine, I'll pack. She disappeared into her bedroom. Marcus heard drawers opening and closing. He walked to the boarded-up window and looked out at the city. Somewhere out there, someone hated this woman enough to threaten her life. Marcus had served 2 tours in Afghanistan. He'd protected diplomats and corporate executives. He'd faced down actual terrorists. But something about this job felt different. Maybe it was the way Vanessa had looked at him, like she expected him to hate her. Maybe it was the sadness in her eyes that she couldn't quite hide. Or maybe it was just that he needed this money for his mother, and he couldn't afford to fail. Marcus pulled out his phone and sent Richards a text. On site. Moving to safe house tonight. The response came back immediately. Good. Keep her alive, Stone. That's all you have to do. Marcus put his phone away and waited for Vanessa to pack. Keep her alive for 30 days? How hard could it be? Night fell over Chicago. Marcus loaded 2 bags into the back of his SUV, a nondescript black vehicle with bulletproof windows and reinforced doors. Vanessa came down wearing a long coat and heels, carrying a Louis Vuitton trunk. Marcus looked at the trunk, then at her. No. Excuse me? You can't bring that. Too big, too obvious. He pulled a military-style duffel bag from his truck. Essentials only. 3 days of clothes, toiletries, that's it. That trunk has... Ma'am, I don't care if it has the crown jewels. You bring what fits in this bag, or you leave it. Her face flushed with anger, but she took the duffel bag and went back inside. When she returned, she'd changed into jeans and a sweater. The duffel was full but manageable. Give me your phone, Marcus said. What? Your phone. They can track it. I need my phone. What if the person who wants to hurt you is tracking your location right now? Marcus held out his hand. Phone. Now. Vanessa pulled her iPhone from her pocket. She stared at it like he was asking her to cut off her arm. I'll be completely cut off, she said quietly. Yes, ma'am. That's the point. She placed the phone in his hand. He immediately removed the battery and put both pieces in a metal box in his truck. Get in, he said. She climbed into the passenger seat. Marcus got behind the wheel. Where are we going? She asked as he pulled out of the parking garage. Somewhere safe. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting right now. They drove in silence. Marcus checked his mirrors constantly, watching for anyone following them. The streets were busy with evening traffic. Rain started to fall, light at first, then heavier. After an hour, they were out of the city. The rain turned to sleet. Vanessa was shivering. Marcus noticed, but didn't say anything at first. Then he reached over and turned up the heat. "Thank you," she said quietly. It was the first kind thing she'd said to him. Marcus just nodded. 2 hours into the drive, they turned off the highway onto a rural road, then onto a gravel path that wound up into the mountains. Vanessa stared out the window at the dark forest surrounding them. "Where are we?" "Smoky Mountains. Your father owns property out here, a cabin." "My father owns a lot of things. He doesn't tell me about all of them." Finally, the headlights illuminated a log cabin. It was bigger than Marcus expected, but clearly hadn't been used in years. The porch sagged slightly. Dead leaves covered the steps. Marcus parked and got out first. He did a quick perimeter check while Vanessa waited in the car. "Clear?" he said, opening her door. She stepped out and looked at the cabin. The expression on her face was somewhere between disbelief and horror. "You're joking," she said. "No, ma'am. There can't possibly be. This place looks abandoned." "It's not abandoned. It's rustic." Marcus grabbed both bags. "Come on, let's get you inside." The front door was locked. Marcus had the key from Richard's. The door stuck, and he had to shoulder it open. Inside, the cabin was cold and dusty. Furniture covered in white sheets. A massive stone fireplace dominated one wall. The kitchen looked like something from the 1970s. Vanessa stood in the doorway, hugging herself. "Where's the staff?" she asked. Marcus almost laughed. "There's no staff, Ms. Vanderhoven. It's just you and me." "But who's going to cook? Clean?" "You are." He set the bags down. "I'm security. I'm not a butler." "I don't know how to—" She stopped herself, took a breath. "This is impossible. This is survival." Marcus pulled the sheets off the furniture, sending up clouds of dust. "You want to be safe? This is what safe looks like. Nobody knows we're here. Nobody can get to you. You're going to have to get uncomfortable for a while." She looked at him, and for the first time, he saw genuine fear in her eyes. Not fear of physical danger. Fear of being completely out of her element. "I'll show you to your room," Marcus said, his voice gentler. "Get some rest. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." He led her to a small bedroom on the ground floor. It had a bed, a dresser, and one window overlooking the woods. "There are blankets in the closet," he said. "Bathroom's down the hall." She nodded, but didn't move. "Ms. Vanderhoven, you okay?" "Vanessa," she said quietly. "Just call me Vanessa." "Okay, Vanessa." He backed toward the door. "You're safe here, I promise." She looked at him with those sad, lost eyes. "Am I safe with you?" The question hung in the air between them. "Yes," Marcus said, and despite everything he thought he knew about her, he meant it. He closed the door and left her alone. Marcus took the upstairs bedroom, which had a view of the driveway. He unpacked his gear, his primary weapon, backup weapon, extra ammunition, first aid kit, flashlight, emergency radio. Then he sat on the edge of the bed and called his mother on the secure satellite phone. "Everything okay, baby?" she asked. "Yeah, Mama. Everything's fine. Job's going smooth." "You sound tired." "Just been a long day." They talked for a few minutes about nothing important. When he hung up, Marcus looked out the window at the dark forest. Somewhere in the cabin below, Vanessa van der Hoven was probably lying in bed, wondering how her life had come to this. Marcus knew the feeling. He'd come here expecting to babysit a spoiled racist for 30 days, take the money, and leave. But something didn't add up. The woman downstairs didn't act like someone who hated people. She acted like someone who was scared, alone, damaged. Marcus shook his head. It didn't matter. She wasn't his problem beyond keeping her alive. 30 days. He could do anything for 30 days. Outside, the wind picked up, howling through the trees. Snow started to fall, thick and heavy. By morning, they'd be snowed in. Marcus checked his weapon one more time, then lay down on top of the covers, fully dressed, just in case. Vanessa woke up cold. She opened her eyes to see unfamiliar wooden beams above her. For a confused moment, she didn't know where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The brick, her father. The bodyguard with the hard eyes. The drive through the mountains. The cabin. She sat up, pulling the thin blanket around her shoulders. Her breath came out in white puffs. The room was freezing. She checked her wrist for her watch, but she'd taken it off last night. No phone to check the time, no clock on the wall. She had no idea if it was 6 in the morning or noon. Vanessa got out of bed, her feet touching the ice-cold wooden floor. She'd slept in her clothes, the sweater and jeans from last night. She grabbed her coat from the chair and wrapped it around herself. The hallway was just as cold. She could hear sounds from outside, rhythmic thuds. She followed the sound to the back porch. Through the window, she saw him. Marcus was doing push-ups in the snow. No shirt, just sweatpants and boots. His dark skin glistened with sweat despite the cold. His muscles flexed with each rep. He moved like a machine, perfectly controlled. Vanessa watched for a moment, then looked away. She felt like she was intruding on something private. She went to the kitchen instead. Her stomach was growling. She hadn't eaten since lunch yesterday. The kitchen was ancient. Avocado green appliances, linoleum floors. But at least there was a pantry. She opened it and stared. Canned beans, rice, pasta, some jars of sauce, powdered milk, nothing fresh, nothing that didn't require cooking. Vanessa had never cooked a meal in her life. She'd ordered from restaurants or had her chef prepare everything. She stared at the cans helplessly. Morning? She jumped and turned. Marcus stood in the doorway, pulling on a flannel shirt. His hair was wet from the snow. You work out in the snow? She asked. Keeps me sharp. He buttoned the shirt. You find breakfast? I don't. I'm not sure what to do with all this. She gestured at the pantry. Something flickered across his face. Not quite sympathy, more like understanding. There's cereal, he said, pointing to a box on the top shelf. Bowls are in that cupboard. Oh. Vanessa felt her face heat up. Of course. Cereal. She could manage that. She poured herself a bowl and used the powdered milk, which tasted strange but was better than nothing. She sat at the small kitchen table and ate in silence. Marcus made himself coffee using an old percolator on the stove. The smell filled the kitchen. Can I have some? Vanessa asked quietly. He poured her a cup without comment. They drank their coffee in silence. The only sound was the wind outside. How long do we have to stay here? Vanessa finally asked. Until the threat is neutralized. Could be a week, could be a month. A month? Her voice went high. I can't stay here for a month. I'll go crazy. Better than being dead. She set down her cup with shaking hands. You really think someone wants to kill me? Marcus met her eyes. Someone sent you a death threat and knows where you live. Yeah, I think we should take it seriously. But why? I didn't actually do anything. The video was... She stopped herself. Was what? Vanessa looked away. Nothing. Forget it. Marcus studied her for a long moment. Then he stood and went to the back door. Storm's coming in. We need to bring in firewood before it hits. Firewood? Yeah, unless you want to freeze tonight. He pulled on a heavy jacket. Come on, I need your help. I'm not dressed for... There's extra gear in the closet by the front door. Coat, gloves, boots. Get dressed. He walked out before she could protest. Vanessa sat at the table, frustration building in her chest. She wanted to refuse, to stay inside and let him do it himself. That's what staff was for, wasn't it? But there was no staff. Just her and a man who clearly thought she was useless. Maybe she was. Vanessa went to the closet and found the gear. The coat was too big. The boots were men's size, and the gloves were worn. But they were warm. She stepped outside onto the porch. The world was white, snow-covered. Everything. The trees, the ground, the old truck parked beside the cabin. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. She'd never been this far from the city, never been this alone. Marcus was at a woodpile, splitting logs with an axe. He made it look easy. The axe came down with precision, splitting each log cleanly. Stack them on the porch, he said without looking at her. We'll need them close when the storm really hits. Vanessa picked up a piece of wood. A splinter immediately drove into her palm through the glove. Ow! She dropped the wood. Marcus looked over. You okay? I got a splinter. He set down the axe and walked over. Let me see. She held out her hand. He pulled off her glove gently and examined her palm. It's not deep, he said. His voice was surprisingly soft. I'll get tweezers inside, but you can keep working. Just be more careful how you grip the wood. He handed her glove back and returned to splitting logs. Vanessa stared at her hand. It was just a tiny splinter. Nothing compared to the pain of the last 6 months. But somehow, this small physical hurt felt more real than all of that. She picked up the wood again, more carefully this time. For the next hour, they worked in silence. Marcus split the logs. Vanessa carried them to the porch and stacked them. Her arms started to ache. Her back hurt. Sweat soaked through her borrowed coat. But when she looked at the growing pile of wood, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Pride. She'd done this. Not her staff, not her father's money. Just her. That's enough, Marcus said finally. Storm's here. Vanessa looked up. The sky had turned dark gray. Snowflakes were falling thick and fast now. They went inside. Marcus shook the snow off his coat. Go get dry clothes on. I'll start the fire. Vanessa nodded and headed to her room. She changed into clean jeans and a sweater from her bag. When she came back out, Marcus had a fire going in the massive stone fireplace. The heat felt incredible. She stood in front of it, holding out her hands. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not making fun of me, for the splinter, for letting me help. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Everyone has to learn sometime. They spent the rest of the morning settling in. Marcus showed her where things were. The emergency supplies, the first aid kit, the old radio that might work if they needed it. The power flickered once, twice, then went out completely. Vanessa's heart jumped. What happened? Power lines probably came down. Snow's too heavy. Marcus lit some candles he'd found in a drawer. We'll be fine. We've got the fire. But Vanessa's chest was getting tight. The cabin suddenly felt very small and very dark. Her breathing started to speed up. I need air. She went to the window, pressing her hands against the cold glass. Marcus was beside her in seconds. Hey, look at me. Look at me, Vanessa. She turned. His face was serious, but not unkind. Breathe with me, he said. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Come on. He demonstrated, and she tried to copy him. In, out, in, out. Slowly, very slowly, the panic subsided. You have anxiety attacks, Marcus said. It wasn't a question. Vanessa nodded, embarrassed. Since everything happened, sometimes they just come out of nowhere. My mom gets them too, after my dad died. He stepped back, giving her space. You should have told me. I would have been more careful about the lights. I didn't think you'd care. Something flashed across his face. Hurt, maybe. I'm here to keep you safe. That includes from panic attacks. He went to his bag and pulled out a small flashlight. He handed it to her. Keep this with you. If the dark gets too much, turn it on. Vanessa took the flashlight. Her throat felt tight. Thank you. They spent the afternoon by the fire. Marcus read a book he'd brought. Vanessa tried to read, too, but she couldn't focus. Her mind kept circling back to the same questions. Who had sent that brick? Who hated her enough to want her dead? You're thinking too loud, Marcus said without looking up from his book. Sorry. You don't have to apologize. He closed the book. But if you want to talk about it, I'm listening. Vanessa pulled her knees up to her chest. Why would you listen? You think I'm a terrible person? I don't know you well enough to think anything yet. You know about the video. I know what I saw in a 2-minute clip. That's not the same as knowing you. Vanessa looked at him, really looked at him. His face was strong, serious, but his eyes weren't cruel. They were thoughtful, patient. What if I told you the video doesn't show the whole story? She said quietly. Then I'd say that's true for most things. Nothing ever shows the whole story. You'd believe me? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I think people are more complicated than the worst thing they've ever done, or the worst thing people think they've done. Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. I didn't say those things to the driver. Then who did you say them to? She wrapped her arms tighter around her knees. My ex-fiancé, Julian, he wasn't a good person. He used to follow me, control me. That day, he was standing right outside my car door. The driver couldn't see him because of the angle, but I could. Julian was threatening me, saying he'd release photos of me from when I was sick. I have an eating disorder, had. I'm better now. But he had pictures from the hospital. He said he'd leak them if I didn't give him money. Marcus's expression darkened. So you yelled at him? I screamed at him to leave me alone, to get away from me. But the camera only caught me. It looked like I was yelling at the driver. And then Julian edited the video to make it worse. He added audio, made it sound like I was saying those words. Did you go to the police? Vanessa laughed bitterly. With what proof? The video went viral in hours. My lawyers looked into it, but Julian's smart. He covered his tracks. And by then, everyone already believed I was a monster. The truth didn't matter anymore. Why didn't you speak up? Tell people what really happened? Because Julian threatened to hurt my father, to tank his company. My father didn't believe me anyway. He said I needed to just ride it out. Keep quiet. Let it blow over. She wiped at her eyes. But it never blew over. It just got worse. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I'm sorry. Vanessa looked up, surprised. You believe me? Yeah, I do. Why? Because you didn't have to tell me that story. You could have just let me think what I wanted. But you told me anyway. knowing I might not believe you. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. That takes courage. Vanessa felt something crack open in her chest. Something that had been frozen for months. Someone believed her. She started to cry. Really cry. For the first time since everything had happened. Big, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. Marcus didn't try to stop her. He just handed her a tissue and let her cry. When she finally stopped, she felt exhausted, but somehow lighter. Sorry, she said, wiping her face. Stop apologizing for being human. Marcus stood up. You hungry? I'll make us something to eat. You cook? Marines learn to cook. Otherwise you starve. He went to the kitchen. Nothing fancy, but it'll be warm. Vanessa followed him, watching as he pulled out rice, canned tomatoes, and some spices he'd brought from home. You brought spices? She asked. Always. Food tastes better with proper seasoning. He worked efficiently, measuring rice, heating water on the old gas stove. He moved like someone who'd done this 1,000 times. My mom taught me, he said, as if reading her thoughts. She said a man who can't cook is a man who can't take care of himself. Your mother sounds wise. She is. His voice was warm. She's the strongest person I know. Raised me by herself after my dad died. Worked 2 jobs, never complained, just kept going. You're doing this for her, aren't you? This job. Marcus glanced at her. She needs surgery, hip replacement. I'm paying for it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's fine. I'm proud to help her. She did everything for me. Now it's my turn. They ate dinner together at the small kitchen table. The food was simple but delicious. Vanessa couldn't remember the last time she'd enjoyed a meal so much. This is really good, she said. Thanks. Marcus smiled for the first time since they'd met. It transformed his whole face. After dinner, they cleaned up together. Marcus washed, Vanessa dried. It felt strange and domestic and somehow comforting. They spent the evening by the fire, playing cards Marcus found in a drawer. Old-fashioned gin rummy? Vanessa was terrible at it, but Marcus was patient, explaining the rules each time she forgot. You're letting me win, she accused after her 3rd victory. Maybe you're just good at cards. I'm not. I can tell you're going easy on me. Marcus shrugged. Would you rather I crush you every time? No, she admitted. But I also don't want you to treat me like I'm fragile. You're not fragile. You're learning. He dealt another hand. There's a difference. As they played, Vanessa found herself relaxing. Really relaxing, for the first time in months. The cabin was warm, the fire crackled, and Marcus, despite everything, made her feel safe. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Why did you become a bodyguard? Marcus was quiet for a moment. After I left the Marines, I didn't know what to do. I was good at protecting people, keeping them safe. It was the one thing I knew I could do well. So, I found a company that would hire me and trained. Do you like it? Most days. Some clients are easier than others. He looked at her. You're not the worst I've had. That's a ringing endorsement. He smiled again. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone meaner, more entitled, someone who'd make me feel bad about myself. He gathered up the cards. But you're not like that. You're just scared and trying not to show it. Vanessa's eyes stung. Is it that obvious? Only because I'm paying attention. They sat in silence for a while, watching the fire. I'm glad you're here, Vanessa said quietly. I know you didn't want this job, but I'm glad it's you. Marcus nodded. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll work on making this place more comfortable. Vanessa went to her room. She lay in bed, listening to the wind howl outside and the fire crackle downstairs. For the first time in months, she felt like maybe things could be okay. Maybe she could survive this. Maybe she wasn't as alone as she thought. The next morning, Vanessa woke to the smell of coffee. She got dressed and went to the kitchen. Marcus was already up, making eggs on the stove. "Morning," he said. "Sleep okay?" "Better than I have in a long time." He put a plate in front of her. Scrambled eggs, toast, and coffee. It was simple, but it felt like the best breakfast she'd ever had. "Thank you," she said. "You're welcome." They ate together, and Vanessa realized something had shifted between them. The tension from before was gone. They weren't friends, exactly, but they weren't enemies either. After breakfast, Marcus taught her how to maintain the fire, how to add logs without smothering the flames, how to bank it at night so it would last until morning. Vanessa paid attention, trying to memorize every detail. She didn't want to feel helpless anymore. In the afternoon, the storm let up a little. Marcus suggested they go outside. "There's an old hiking trail behind the cabin," he said. "We should check it out, know our surroundings." They bundled up and headed out. The snow was deep, but Marcus led the way, breaking a trail for her to follow. The forest was beautiful. Silent except for the crunch of their boots in the snow. Trees heavy with white. The air so cold it hurt to breathe. "It's like another world out here," Vanessa said. "That's the point. Nobody can find us. Nobody can hurt you." They walked for a while, not talking, just being. When they got back to the cabin, Vanessa was exhausted, but in a good way. Her body ached, but it felt right. Like she'd actually done something. That evening, as they sat by the fire, Vanessa said, "Teach me how to chop wood." Marcus looked up, surprised. "You sure?" "I want to be useful. I want to be able to take care of myself." He studied her face, then nodded. "Okay, tomorrow, when the light's good." That night, Vanessa fell asleep feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The next few days fell into a rhythm. Every morning, Marcus taught her something new. How to properly hold an axe, how to start a fire from scratch, how to cook basic meals, how to purify water from the old well behind the cabin. Vanessa absorbed it all. She made mistakes. Lots of them. She burned food. She let the fire go out twice. She got blisters on her hands from the axe. But Marcus never made her feel stupid. He just showed her again, patiently, until she got it right. And slowly, something else was happening. She was changing. Her hands, which had always been soft and manicured, were rough now. Her hair, which she'd always worn perfectly styled, hung in a simple braid. Her face, which had always been carefully made up, was bare. She looked different. But more than that, she felt different. Stronger, braver, more real. And Marcus was changing too. He smiled more, talked more. Sometimes he'd tell her stories about his time in the Marines, or about growing up with his mom, or about his dreams of starting his own security company one day. He started calling her Vanessa without the formal ma'am, and she started calling him Marcus instead of Mr. Thorne. The walls between them were coming down. One afternoon, they were sitting on the porch, watching the snow fall. Vanessa had made them both coffee, and Marcus had actually complimented it. "You're getting good at this survival stuff," he said. "I have a good teacher." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. "Marcus," Vanessa said quietly, "can I ask you something?" "Sure." "What did you think of me when you first saw the video?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly? Honestly. I thought you were everything I hated about rich white people. Entitled, cruel, someone who'd never faced a real problem in your life." He looked at her. I was wrong. You weren't entirely wrong. I was entitled. I did take my privilege for granted. I wasn't cruel. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I know that now. He turned to face her, fully. I judged you without knowing you. I'm sorry for that. You're not the only one. The whole world judged me. The world's not always right. Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes again. Thank you for believing me, for being kind to me when you didn't have to be. Kindness doesn't cost anything, Marcus said. My mom taught me that too. I'd like to meet her someday, your mom. Marcus smiled. She'd like you. She always roots for the underdog. Is that what I am? An underdog? Right now? Yeah, but you're fighting back. That takes guts. That night, they made dinner together. Marcus cooked rice, and Vanessa made a salad from some canned vegetables. It wasn't fancy, but they'd made it as a team. As they ate, Marcus told her a funny story about a training exercise gone wrong in the Marines. Vanessa laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. When she realized what she'd done, she stopped abruptly. What's wrong? Marcus asked. I forgot for a second about everything, about Julian and the video and everyone hating me. I just forgot. That's good, Marcus said gently. You're allowed to forget sometimes. You're allowed to be happy. Am I? Yeah, you are. Later, as they cleaned up, their hands brushed while reaching for the same dish. They both froze. The air between them suddenly felt charged, electric. Marcus pulled his hand back. Sorry. It's okay, Vanessa said, but her heart was pounding. That night, lying in bed, Vanessa stared at the ceiling and thought about Marcus, about his kindness, his strength, the way he looked at her now, not like she was a burden, but like she was a person worth knowing. She thought about how safe she felt with him, how seen. And she realized, with a jolt, that she was falling for him. Her bodyguard, the man hired to protect her, the man who had every reason to hate her, but chose understanding instead. Vanessa pressed her hands to her face. This was impossible. They came from different worlds. When this was over, she'd go back to her life, and he'd go back to his. That's how these things worked. But lying there in the dark, listening to the wind and the distant sound of Marcus moving around upstairs, Vanessa couldn't help but wish things could be different. She'd been alone for so long, and for the first time in her life, she didn't want to be alone anymore. A week into their stay at the cabin, the sun finally came out. Vanessa stood on the porch, breathing in the crisp mountain air. The snow sparkled like diamonds. Everything looked clean and new. Inside, she could hear Marcus on the satellite phone. He called his mother every few days to check on her. Vanessa tried not to listen, but his voice carried. No, Mama, I'm fine. Just working. Yeah, the client is. She's good. Different than I expected. A pause. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying she's not difficult. Another pause, then a laugh. Mama, stop. It's not like that. It's just a job. Vanessa felt her cheeks heat up. She went back inside, making noise so Marcus would know she was there. He looked up from the phone. I gotta go, Mama. Love you too. He put the phone away and cleared his throat. Morning? You want breakfast? I can make it, Vanessa said. You've been doing all the cooking. You sure? I need to practice, right? She made oatmeal, carefully following the directions Marcus had taught her. She only burned it a little bit around the edges. Not bad, Marcus said, trying a bite. You're getting better. Liar. It's terrible. It's not terrible. It's rustic. She laughed. That's generous. They ate together, comfortable in the silence between them. After breakfast, Marcus said, I need to check the perimeter. Make sure nobody's found us. Can I come? He looked surprised. You want to? I'm going crazy inside. I need to move. All right, get your coat. They walked the property line together. Marcus showed her how to spot signs of intruders, disturbed snow, broken branches, tracks that didn't belong. You really think someone could find us out here? Vanessa asked. Better to be prepared, always. He pointed to a tree. See that? Someone carved something there recently. The wood's fresh. Vanessa looked. It was just initials. TJ plus MR? Probably teenagers, Marcus said. But I'll keep an eye on it. Make sure they don't come back. As they walked, Vanessa found herself watching Marcus. The way he moved through the forest, aware of everything around him. The way he checked every shadow, every sound. He was always on alert, always protecting her. Do you ever relax? She asked. Not really. Not on a job. That sounds exhausting. It's what I signed up for. He glanced at her. But this job's been easier than most. You don't complain much. I complained a lot at first. That was different. You were scared and out of your element. That's not the same as being difficult. He held a branch back so she could pass. You've adapted well. I didn't have much choice. Everyone has a choice. You chose to learn instead of giving up. That says something about you. They walked in silence for a while. Then Vanessa said, Can I tell you something? Sure. I like it here. I know that sounds crazy, but I do. For the first time in months, I feel free. Nobody's staring at me. Nobody's judging me. I'm just me. Marcus stopped walking. He turned to face her. That's not crazy. That's healthy. When this is over, I have to go back to the real world, where everyone still thinks I'm a monster. So don't go back. Not to that version of yourself anyway. He gestured around them. You've changed out here. You've gotten stronger. Take that with you. Show people who you really are. What if they won't listen? Then they're not worth your time. His voice was firm. You can't control what other people think, Vanessa. You can only control who you are and what you do. The rest is noise. She looked up at him. His face was serious, his dark eyes steady. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For seeing me, the real me. Something flickered in Marcus's eyes. Something warm and complicated. Come on, he said, his voice rougher than before. Let's get back before it gets dark. That evening, they cooked dinner together again. Vanessa was getting better at it. She could chop vegetables now without cutting herself. She could season food without Marcus having to fix it. As they worked side by side in the small kitchen, their arms kept brushing. Every touch sent electricity through Vanessa's body. She wondered if Marcus felt it too. After dinner, Marcus built up the fire while Vanessa did the dishes. The cabin was warm and cozy. Outside, the wind had picked up again, but inside they were safe. Vanessa dried her hands and went to sit by the fire. Marcus was in the old armchair, reading. What are you reading? She asked. He held up the book. Old Western. Found it on the shelf. It's terrible, but there's not much else to do. We could play cards again. You tired of losing? I beat you yesterday. Once, after I beat you 7 times. She threw a pillow at him. He caught it, grinning. That smile did something to her heart. They played cards for an hour. Marcus won most of the games, but Vanessa was getting better. She was learning to read his tells, the way he tapped his fingers when he had a good hand, the way his eyes narrowed slightly when he was bluffing. You're getting too good at this, Marcus said after she won 2 games in a row. I'm a quick learner. You are. He looked at her across the cards. You're full of surprises, Vanessa van der Hoven. Good surprises or bad surprises? Definitely good. The air between them shifted, became charged with something neither of them was saying. Vanessa's heart pounded. Marcus! A loud knock on the door made them both jump. Marcus was on his feet instantly, his hand going to the weapon at his hip. Get behind me, he said quietly. Vanessa stood, her heart racing for a different reason now. Fear. Who's there? Marcus called out. Sheriff's department, just checking on the property. Marcus relaxed slightly but didn't lower his hand from his weapon. He looked through the window, then opened the door a crack. A man in a sheriff's uniform stood on the porch. He was older, maybe 50, with a weathered face and suspicious eyes. Evening, the sheriff said. We got a report of someone using this cabin. Just wanted to make sure everything's legal. The property's owned by Conrad van der Hoven, Marcus said. We have permission to be here. The sheriff's eyes moved past Marcus, landing on Vanessa. His expression changed. Not recognition. He probably didn't know who she was. But something else. Suspicion. That your girlfriend? The sheriff asked. I'm her security, Marcus said, his voice flat. The sheriff's hand dropped to his holster. You got ID? Marcus's jaw tightened. Vanessa could see the anger in his eyes, carefully controlled. Of course. Marcus slowly reached for his wallet. No sudden moves, the sheriff said. That's when Vanessa stepped forward. She channeled every bit of her old life, the heiress who commanded rooms, the woman who'd been taught from birth how to use her status and her voice. Excuse me, officer, she said, her voice cold and imperious. But I don't appreciate you harassing my head of security. The sheriff looked at her, surprised. I am Vanessa van der Hoven. This property belongs to my father. Mr. Thorne is employed by Ironclad Security to protect me. If you have concerns, you may contact my father's attorneys. She rattled off the name of one of the most powerful law firms in Chicago. Or would you prefer to call the governor? He's a personal friend of my father's. It was mostly bluff. Her father barely spoke to her, and she doubted he'd actually intervened. But the sheriff didn't know that. The sheriff's demeanor changed immediately. He stepped back, lowering his hand from his weapon. My apologies, ma'am. We didn't realize. Just doing our job, checking on things. I understand, but in the future, I'd appreciate more courtesy shown to my staff. Yes, ma'am, of course. You folks have a good evening. The sheriff practically fled to his car. Marcus closed the door and locked it. Then he turned to Vanessa, his expression unreadable. That was... I know what that was, Vanessa said, her voice shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. He saw you and made assumptions. He was ready to treat you like a criminal just because I'm a black man alone with a white woman in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I know. Marcus's voice was tight. I've dealt with it my whole life. It's not right. No, it's not. He looked at her, and something in his expression softened. But thank you for standing up for me. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. You've been protecting me. It's only fair that I protect you. Marcus stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. A real smile, warm and genuine. We're a team, he said. Yeah, Vanessa said. We are. The tension from the sheriff's visit lingered. They both sat by the fire, but neither of them could relax. Does that happen a lot? Vanessa asked quietly. People assuming the worst about you? Marcus was silent for a moment. More than I'd like. more than it should. He stared into the flames. My dad used to tell me I'd have to work twice as hard to be seen as half as good. He was right. I joined the Marines, served my country, got medals. But to some people, I'll always just be a threat, something to be afraid of. That's horrible. It's reality. He looked at her. You grew up with privilege, different kind than mine. You probably never thought about it. You're right, I didn't. I took everything for granted. My money, my status, my safety. I never had to think about how other people saw me until... She stopped. Until the video. Yeah. She pulled her knees up to her chest. Now I know what it feels like. To have everyone judge you based on one moment. One thing they think they know about you. It's awful. Now imagine living that way your whole life. Vanessa looked at him, really understanding for the first time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. I'm sorry the world is like that. It's not your fault. Maybe not, but I've benefited from it. From a system that treats people like me better than people like you. That's not okay. Marcus studied her face. You're really thinking about this stuff, huh? I never did before. I should have. She met his eyes. You've changed me, Marcus. Being here, with you, learning from you, you've made me see things I was blind to. That's growth. That's good. They sat in silence for a while, the fire crackling between them. Marcus? Vanessa said softly. Yeah? I'm glad you took this job, even though you didn't want to, even though you had every reason to refuse. I'm glad it's you here with me. Marcus's expression was tender. I'm glad too. The moment stretched between them, full of things neither of them could say. Finally, Marcus stood. It's late. We should get some rest. Right, yes. Vanessa stood too, disappointed and relieved at the same time. She went to her room but couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Marcus, about the way he looked at her, about the connection growing between them. This was dangerous. She knew that. He was her bodyguard. This was his job. When it ended, they'd go back to their separate lives. But her heart didn't care about logic. Her heart wanted him. The next few days were both wonderful and torturous. Vanessa and Marcus fell into an easy rhythm. They worked together, cooked together, talked for hours by the fire. They laughed more, touched more, small, accidental brushes that felt anything but accidental. The tension between them grew. One afternoon, Marcus was teaching Vanessa how to properly defend herself. Just basic moves, he said, in case she ever needed them. Okay, if someone grabs you from behind, Marcus said, positioning himself behind her. His arms came around her, careful but firm. What do you do? Vanessa could barely breathe. His body was pressed against her back. She could feel his warmth, his strength. I don't know, she stammered. Use your weight. Drop down and twist, like this. He guided her through the movement. Then you elbow back, hard as you can. They practiced the move several times. Each time, Marcus's hands on her felt like fire. Good, he said, his voice rough. You're getting it. When they finished, Vanessa turned to face him. They were standing close. Too close. Thank you, she said, for teaching me. You're a good student. They stared at each other. Marcus's eyes dropped to her lips, then back up. He took a step back. I should check the perimeter. He left quickly, leaving Vanessa breathing hard and frustrated. That evening, they cooked dinner in near silence. The air was thick with everything they weren't saying. As they cleaned up, Vanessa finally broke. Why do you keep pulling away? She asked. Marcus froze, a dish in his hands. What? Every time we get close, you pull away. Why? He set the dish down carefully. Because it's not professional. Because I'm here to do a job, not to what? Feel something? Vanessa turned to face him. Because I feel something, Marcus, and I think you do too. It doesn't matter what I feel. You're my client. There are boundaries. Forget the boundaries. Forget the job. Just tell me, do you feel this too? Marcus looked at her, and she saw the struggle in his eyes, the war between what he should do and what he wanted to do. Yes, he said finally. I feel it, but that doesn't mean we should act on it. Why not? Because when this is over, you're going back to your life, your penthouse and your father and your world. And I'm going back to mine. And those two worlds don't mix, Vanessa. You know that. What if I don't want to go back to that world? You say that now, but when you're safe again, when the threat is gone, you'll remember who you are. And I'll just be the guy who kept you alive for a month. His words hurt, but Vanessa understood them. He was protecting himself, protecting his heart. You're wrong, she said quietly. You're not just some guy to me. You're the person who saw me when everyone else only saw the monster. You're the person who taught me I'm stronger than I thought. You're the person who made me feel safe for the first time in my life. Marcus closed his eyes. Vanessa, don't. Don't what? Tell you the truth? Don't make this harder than it already is. She took a step toward him. What if I don't want to make it easy? What if I want? His satellite phone rang, cutting her off. Marcus grabbed it, looking almost grateful for the interruption. Yeah? He listened, his expression changing. When? Are you sure? Vanessa's stomach dropped. Something was wrong. Understood. We'll be ready. Marcus hung up. He looked at Vanessa, his face grim. That was my boss. They tracked your ex-fiancé's credit cards. He's been in this area. They think he's looking for you. Julian? But how would he? The satellite phone, when I called my mother, if he's got the right equipment, he could have triangulated the signal. Marcus started moving, all business now. We need to secure the cabin, board up the windows, set up early warning systems. Do you think he'll come here? I don't know, but I'm not taking chances. He handed her a flashlight. Come on, we've got work to do. They spent the next 2 hours preparing. Marcus boarded up the downstairs windows from the inside. He set up makeshift alarms using cans and string at the doors and on the porch steps. He checked his weapons, loading extra ammunition. Vanessa helped where she could, her heart pounding with fear. When they were done, Marcus made her sit down. Listen to me carefully, he said. If anything happens, if someone comes here, you do exactly what I say. No arguments, no hesitation. Understood? Yes. If I tell you to run, you run. There's a trail out back. Follows the ridgeline down to a road about 2 miles away. You follow that road east until you hit a gas station. You call 911. You don't come back for me. You just run. Promise me. Marcus, I can't just leave you. Promise me, Vanessa. His hands gripped her shoulders. I need to know you'll be safe. That's the only thing that matters to me. She looked into his eyes and saw the truth there. He would die to protect her if he had to. I promise, she whispered. He pulled her into a hug. She pressed her face against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. It's going to be okay, he said. I won't let anything happen to you. They pulled apart reluctantly. Try to get some sleep, Marcus said. I'll keep watch. I can't sleep, not now. Then sit with me. They sat together by the fire, not talking. Marcus kept his weapon close, his eyes on the windows and doors. Vanessa found herself praying, something she hadn't done since her mother died. She prayed that Julian wouldn't find them, that they'd be safe, that she'd have more time with Marcus, because she knew now, with absolute certainty, that she was in love with him, and she might not get the chance to tell him. The night stretched on. Every sound made them both tense, every creak of the cabin, every gust of wind. But nothing happened. As dawn broke, Marcus finally relaxed slightly. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe he's not coming. Maybe, Vanessa said, but she didn't believe it. She could feel it in her bones. Something was coming, the calm before the storm. 3 days passed. 3 days of tension and waiting. Marcus barely slept. He kept watch, constantly alert. Vanessa tried to help, tried to keep things normal, but the fear hung over them like a cloud. On the third night, Vanessa couldn't take it anymore. She found Marcus outside on the porch, despite the cold. He was scanning the tree line with binoculars. "You need to rest," she said. "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're exhausted. When's the last time you slept more than an hour?" "I'll sleep when you're safe." Vanessa sat down beside him. "Marcus, look at me." He lowered the binoculars and turned to her. "If something happens," she said quietly, "if Julian comes here, I need you to know something. Don't talk like that. I need to say it, just in case." She took a breath. "I love you." Marcus's eyes widened. "Vanessa, I know it's complicated. I know you think it won't work when we leave here, but I needed you to know. These past few weeks with you have been the best of my life. You've made me stronger, braver, better, and I love you for that. I love you for everything." Marcus stared at her, emotions warring on his face. "I shouldn't," he said finally. "I know I shouldn't, but I love you too." Vanessa's heart soared. "You do? From the moment you stood up to that sheriff for me. Maybe even before that." He cupped her face in his hands. "You're nothing like I thought you'd be. You're kind and brave and real. And yeah, I love you. God help me, I do." They leaned toward each other, and for one perfect moment, everything else disappeared. Their lips met. The kiss was soft at first, tentative. Then it deepened, all the longing and fear and love pouring into it. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "I don't care about our different worlds," Vanessa whispered. "I don't care about anything except being with you." "We'll figure it out," Marcus said. "When this is over, we'll find a way." They kissed again, losing themselves in each other. And then Marcus tensed. "What?" Vanessa started. "Quiet." Marcus held up a hand. He was listening to something she couldn't hear. Then she heard it. A car engine. Distant, but getting closer. "Get inside," Marcus said, all business now. "Now!" They rushed inside. Marcus locked the door and moved to the window. Headlights appeared through the trees. One vehicle, maybe two. "Go upstairs," Marcus ordered. "Lock yourself in the bedroom. Remember what I told you." "Marcus! Go!" Vanessa ran upstairs, her heart hammering. She locked herself in the bedroom, then went to the window. From here, she could see the driveway. 2 cars pulled up. Men got out. Even in the darkness, Vanessa recognized one of them. Julian. Her ex-fiancé looked exactly the same. Handsome in a cruel way, expensive clothes, smug expression. He had 2 men with him, big men, the kind you hired when you wanted to hurt someone. Vanessa's hands shook as she pulled out the flashlight Marcus had given her. She turned it on, creating a signal they'd arranged. 3 quick flashes. She saw Marcus move below, positioning himself. Then Julian called out, "Vanessa, I know you're in there. Come out and talk to me, baby. Let's work this out. Marcus didn't respond. Fine. Have it your way. Julian nodded to his men, and all hell broke loose. A gunshot shattered the night. Vanessa dropped to the floor, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might explode. She heard Wood splintering downstairs, shouting. Another gunshot. Marcus's voice commanding, "Federal property! You're trespassing!" Julian's voice mocking, "Federal property? Nice try, Stone. Yeah, I know who you are. Did a little research on my fiancé's new boyfriend. She's not your fiancé anymore. Details." Julian laughed. "Now, here's how this is going to work. You're going to walk out that door with your hands up. Then, Vanessa and I are going to have a little chat about respect, about what happens when you embarrass me." Vanessa's blood ran cold. This wasn't about money or revenge for the video. This was about control. Julian couldn't stand that she'd escaped him. "Not happening," Marcus said. More gunshots. Vanessa heard glass breaking. The cabin walls were solid, but they wouldn't hold forever. She looked around frantically. The bedroom window overlooked the back of the cabin. The trail Marcus had told her about was there. She could run, but that would mean leaving Marcus alone to face 3 armed men. No, she couldn't do that. Vanessa remembered the old diary she'd found in the bedroom drawer a few days ago. It belonged to whoever had owned the cabin originally, a hunter. He'd written about the property, about the wildlife, about bear traps. There were old hunting traps in the shed out back. She'd seen them when Marcus was checking the property. An idea formed, crazy, dangerous, but maybe their only chance. Vanessa unlocked the bedroom door and crept to the top of the stairs. She could see Marcus behind the overturned kitchen table, using it as cover. He had his gun ready, his body coiled tight. "Marcus!" she called quietly. He looked up, his eyes widening. "I told you to stay in the room. I have an idea. The bear traps in the shed. If I can get out the back and set them up on the porch..." "Absolutely not. Too dangerous." "They're going to rush the cabin. You know they are. You can't hold them off forever." She started down the stairs. "I can do this." "Vanessa!" Another volley of gunshots cut him off. They were targeting the boarded windows now, trying to weaken them. Marcus swore. He looked at Vanessa, then at the back door. Okay, listen. There's a flare gun in the emergency kit. Take it. Set the traps if you can. But if anyone comes around back, you fire that flare right at them. Then you run. Promise me." "I promise." "And Vanessa?" His eyes met hers. "I love you. Remember that. I love you too." She grabbed the emergency kit from the closet and slipped out the back door. The night was freezing. Snow crunched under her feet. She moved as quietly as she could toward the shed. The shed door creaked as she opened it. Inside, she found the old hunting equipment. 3 bear traps, rusty but still functional. They were heavy, and the springs were terrifyingly strong. Vanessa had never set a trap in her life, but she'd watched enough survival shows with Marcus over the past few weeks to have a basic idea. She carefully carried the first trap to the back porch. Her hands shook as she set it, being careful not to trigger it. She covered it with a light dusting of snow. 1 down, 2 to go. She was setting the second trap when she heard footsteps coming around the side of the cabin. Vanessa froze. One of Julian's men appeared, a large shadow in the darkness. He had a gun in his hand. Well, he said, spotting her. The princess herself. Vanessa's hand closed around the flare gun. She pulled it out and fired without hesitation. The flare exploded into the man's chest. He screamed and stumbled backward, his clothes catching fire. He rolled in the snow, trying to put it out. Vanessa didn't wait. She ran, but not away from the cabin, toward it, around to the front, where she could see Julian and the other man advancing on the front door. "Hey!" she screamed at the top of her lungs. "Julian, is this what you wanted? To scare me? To prove you're in control?" Julian spun around, shock on his face. "Vanessa? I'm right here. Come get me, you coward." She was baiting him, drawing him away from Marcus, giving Marcus a clear shot. Julian's face twisted with rage. "You ungrateful!" He started toward her. Vanessa ran, back toward the cabin, toward the back porch where the traps were set. She could hear Julian behind her, cursing, chasing her. She leapt over the first trap, cleared the second. Julian didn't. The trap snapped shut with a sickening crunch. Julian's scream split the night. Vanessa spun around. Julian was on the ground, the trap locked around his leg. Blood spread across the snow. The second man came around the corner. He raised his gun at Vanessa. "Drop it!" Marcus appeared from the side of the cabin. He had his gun trained on the man. "Federal security officer, drop your weapon now!" The man hesitated. Then he dropped the gun and put his hands up. "Vanessa, get inside," Marcus ordered. "Call 911 on the satellite phone." Vanessa ran inside on shaking legs. She grabbed the satellite phone and dialed with trembling fingers. 911, what's your emergency?" "We're being attacked. We need police and an ambulance." She gave the address, her voice breaking. "Please hurry." "Units are on the way, ma'am. Stay on the line." Vanessa went back to the door. Marcus had both men on the ground now, zip-tied with restraints from his gear. Julian was still screaming about his leg. "You're insane!" Julian shouted at her. "You set a trap! I could have died!" "You came here to kill me," Vanessa said coldly. "You brought guns! You threatened Marcus! What did you think would happen?" "I wasn't going to kill you! I just wanted to talk!" "With armed men and guns? That's not talking, Julian. That's terrorizing." She looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing but contempt. "You've controlled me for years, made me feel small and scared. But I'm not scared anymore. You're just a pathetic man who can't stand that I left you." Marcus moved to stand beside her. "Police are 5 minutes out. I can hear the sirens." Vanessa sagged against him. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her shaky and exhausted. "You did good," Marcus said quietly. "You were brave. I was terrified. Brave isn't not being afraid. Brave is being afraid and doing it anyway." He wrapped an arm around her. "You saved us both." The first man they'd stopped, the one Vanessa had hit with the flare, was still sitting in the snow, his hands behind his back. He looked defeated. Red and blue lights appeared through the trees. The sheriff who'd visited before got out of his car, followed by 2 deputies. His eyes widened when he saw the scene. "Ms. Vanderhoven, you okay?" "I'm fine, Sheriff. These men broke onto the property and attacked us." The sheriff looked at Julian, still trapped and bleeding. "Get the medics over here and arrest these 3. As the deputies moved to secure Julian and his men, the sheriff approached Marcus. "Mr. Thorne," he said, "I owe you an apology. For the other night, I made assumptions I shouldn't have made." Marcus nodded. "Appreciate that, Sheriff. You did good work here, protecting Ms. Vanderhoven." The sheriff extended his hand. Marcus shook it. Paramedics arrived and began working on Julian's leg. One of them came over to check on Vanessa and Marcus. "You folks injured?" the paramedic asked. "I'm okay," Vanessa said. "Just shaken up." "I'm fine," Marcus said, but Vanessa noticed blood on his sleeve. "Marcus, you're bleeding." "It's nothing. Just a graze." "Let me look at it," the paramedic insisted. Marcus's jacket had a bullet hole through the shoulder. The bullet had grazed him, cutting a shallow line across his arm. The paramedic cleaned and bandaged it while Vanessa held Marcus's other hand, her heart in her throat. "You could have died," she whispered. "But I didn't. We're both okay." He squeezed her hand. "We're okay." The sheriff came back over. "We'll need statements from both of you, and we'll need you to come down to the station tomorrow." "Of course," Vanessa said. Julian was loaded into an ambulance, still cursing and threatening lawsuits. The two other men were put into police cars. Finally, the cabin was quiet again. Marcus and Vanessa stood on the porch, watching the last police car drive away. "Is it really over?" Vanessa asked. "Yeah, it's over." Marcus turned to her. "Julian will be charged with attempted assault, trespassing, weapons violations. He won't bother you again." "What about the video? Everyone still thinks—" Julian had it on his phone, the real one, the unedited version. "The police have it now. You can release it, clear your name." Vanessa felt tears spring to her eyes. "It's really over. It's over." She threw her arms around him and he held her tight. They stood there for a long time, just holding each other. Finally, they went inside. The cabin was a mess. Broken glass, bullet holes, overturned furniture. "We should pack," Marcus said quietly. "We can't stay here. It's not safe anymore." "Where will we go?" "Back to the city. To your father's place, I guess." His voice was flat. "My contract is up anyway. Job's done." Those words hit Vanessa like a physical blow. Job's done. Of course, that's all this had been to him. A job. No, that wasn't true. He'd said he loved her. He'd kissed her. That was real. "Marcus," she said, "what happens now? With us?" He didn't meet her eyes. "I don't know." "Don't do this. Don't pull away now." "Vanessa, I'm your bodyguard. I was hired to protect you. Now that job is finished." "So that's it? We just go back to our separate lives?" "What else is there?" He finally looked at her. "You're going back to your world, your penthouse, your father, your money. I'm going back to mine. We both knew this was temporary." "I don't want it to be temporary." "Sometimes what we want doesn't matter." His voice was gentle but firm. "You'll see. Once you're back in your real life, this will all seem like a dream. You'll move on." "Why are you doing this? Why are you pushing me away?" "Because I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" "From me. From making a mistake." Marcus ran his hand over his face. "Look at us, Vanessa. Really look. You're a wealthy white heiress. I'm a black security guard from the South Side. Your father will never accept me. Your friends will never accept me. Society won't accept us. I don't care about any of that. You say that now, but give it time. Give it a week back in your real life, and you'll realize how impossible this is." Vanessa felt like he'd slapped her. "You really believe that? You really think I'm that shallow?" "I think you're human, and humans care about what other people think, whether we want to or not." "Fine." Vanessa's voice was cold now. "If that's what you think of me, then maybe you're right. Maybe we should just end this now." She went to her room and slammed the door. She didn't cry. She was too angry, too hurt. How could he think she'd just forget him? That she'd care more about what society thought than about her own heart? But a small voice in the back of her mind whispered, "Is he wrong?" When her mother died, Vanessa had retreated into her privilege, into the safety of her father's money and status. When the video went viral, she'd hidden behind her walls. Maybe Marcus was right to doubt her strength. Vanessa lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her heart breaking. The next morning, they drove back to Chicago in silence. Marcus had called his boss. The job was officially over. He'd received the second half of his payment. His mother could get her surgery. Vanessa stared out the window, watching the mountains give way to highways, then to suburbs, then to the city. She felt like she was being taken to prison. They arrived at her penthouse in the afternoon. The broken window had been fixed. Everything looked exactly as she'd left it. Cold, perfect, empty. Her father was waiting in the living room with his assistant. "Vanessa," Conrad said. He didn't hug her, didn't ask if she was okay. "The police called. They said they arrested Julian." "Yes." "And apparently there's footage that clears your name?" "Yes." "Good. We'll release it immediately. Get ahead of the news cycle." He nodded to his assistant. "Set up a press conference for tomorrow." "Dad, I just got back. Can't this wait?" "The longer we wait, the more damage control we have to do." He finally looked at her. "You look terrible. Go clean yourself up." Vanessa felt Marcus tense beside her. She put a hand on his arm. "It's fine," she said quietly. Conrad turned to Marcus. "Mr. Thorne, thank you for your service." He held out an envelope. "Your final payment, plus a bonus for going above and beyond." Marcus took the envelope. "Thank you, sir." "You're dismissed." Marcus looked at Vanessa. Their eyes met. She saw everything she felt reflected in his face. Longing, regret, love. "Goodbye, Vanessa," he said quietly. "Goodbye, Marcus." He turned and walked to the elevator. The doors closed, and he was gone. Vanessa felt like her heart had been ripped out of her chest. "Well," her father said, "that's done. Now about tomorrow." "I need to rest," Vanessa interrupted. "We'll talk tomorrow." She went to her bedroom and closed the door. Only then did she let herself cry. The next week was a blur. The press conference happened. Vanessa released the unedited footage. The world watched as Julian's lies were exposed. The driver from the original video gave an interview confirming that Vanessa hadn't been yelling at him at all. The tide of public opinion shifted, slowly at first, then all at once. Apologies flooded in, from the restaurant that kicked her out, from former friends who'd abandoned her, from strangers on the internet. Vanessa's reputation was restored. She should have felt relieved, vindicated, free. Instead, she felt hollow. She went through the motions, attended the meetings her father arranged, accepted the apologies, smiled for the cameras. But at night, alone in her penthouse, she thought about Marcus, about the cabin, about the life they could have had. Her father wanted her to move on. "Put this whole unpleasant business behind you," he said. "Get back to normal." But Vanessa didn't want normal. Not the old normal anyway. 2 weeks after returning, Vanessa sat in her living room, staring at the check her father had written to Marcus. She'd torn it up. Marcus hadn't needed her father's money. He'd needed his own earnings, his own dignity. Her phone buzzed, a text from a former friend inviting her to a charity gala. Vanessa ignored it. She thought about what Marcus had said, about going back to her world, about forgetting. He was wrong. She hadn't forgotten. She'd spent every day thinking about him, missing him, loving him. And she realized something. Marcus had been scared too. Not of her world, but of being hurt. Of loving someone who might choose status over love. She needed to show him he was wrong. Vanessa stood up. She looked around her penthouse, the cold, perfect prison she'd lived in for so long. Then she made a decision. She called her father the next morning. "I'm stepping back from the family business," she said. Silence. Then, "You're what?" I'm stepping back. I don't want to be your puppet anymore, Dad. I don't want to live my life according to your plans. Vanessa, don't be ridiculous. You're emotional right now. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I ever have. She took a deep breath. I love you, Dad, but I need to live my own life. Make my own choices, even if they're mistakes. This is about that bodyguard, isn't it? This is about me, about who I want to be. She softened her voice. You've been controlling me since Mom died. I know you were just trying to protect me. But I don't need protection anymore. I need freedom. Conrad was silent for a long time. Your mother would be proud of you, he said finally. She always wanted you to be strong, independent. I've been trying to keep you safe. But maybe I've been keeping you prisoner instead. Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you, Dad. Do what you need to do. But Vanessa, don't completely cut me out. I may not show it well, but I do love you. I love you too. After she hung up, Vanessa got dressed. Not in designer clothes, in jeans and a simple sweater. The kind of clothes she'd worn in the cabin. Then she got in her car and drove. Marcus's mother lived in a small house in a modest neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. Vanessa had found the address through the security company. She stood on the porch, nervous for the first time in weeks. She knocked. An older woman answered the door. She had kind eyes and Marcus's smile. She was using a cane but stood straight and proud. Can I help you? She asked. Mrs. Thorne? My name is Vanessa. I was your son's client. Recognition dawned. You're the young woman he was protecting. Come in, come in. You must be freezing. The house was small but warm. Photos covered every surface. Marcus at various ages, in his military uniform, with his mother. Marcus isn't here, Mrs. Thorne said. He's at work. Actually, I came to talk to you first. Mrs. Thorne raised an eyebrow. Me? Why? Because I love your son, and I think he loves me. But he's convinced that we can't be together because of where we come from, because of what people will think. Vanessa met the older woman's eyes. I need you to tell me. Am I wasting my time? Is he right? Mrs. Thorne studied her for a long moment. Then she smiled. Sit down, child. Let me tell you about my boy. They talked for an hour. Mrs. Thorne told her about Marcus's father, who died when Marcus was 12. About how Marcus had always been protective, always trying to keep people safe. About how he'd never let himself get close to anyone because he was afraid of losing them like he'd lost his father. He's scared, Mrs. Thorne said. Not of your different worlds, of loving you and then losing you. That boy has the biggest heart, but he keeps it locked up tight. How do I unlock it? You show him you're not going anywhere. You prove that love is stronger than fear. Mrs. Thorne squeezed Vanessa's hand. And honey, if you really love my son, you fight for him. You don't let him push you away out of fear. I won't, Vanessa promised. Mrs. Thorne gave her Marcus's work address. Go get him, she said. Vanessa drove to the office building where ironclad security was located. She took the elevator to the 3rd floor. The receptionist looked surprised to see her. Ms. Vanderhoven? Can I help you? I'm here to see Marcus Thorne. He's in a meeting right now. If you'd like to wait. No, I need to see him now, please. Something in Vanessa's voice must have convinced her. The receptionist picked up the phone. Mr. Thorne, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent. A minute later, Marcus appeared from a conference room. He froze when he saw Vanessa. What are you doing here? He asked. We need to talk. Vanessa, I'm working. This isn't a good time. I don't care. We're talking. Now. She looked around at the curious faces watching them. Please. Marcus sighed. Conference room 2, 5 minutes. They went into an empty conference room. Marcus closed the door. What's this about? He asked. You're wrong, Vanessa said. About what? About everything. About me forgetting you. About me caring more about my reputation than about us. About us being impossible. She stepped closer to him. I spent the last 2 weeks back in my old life. And you know what? I hated every second of it. Because you weren't there. Vanessa? I don't want my old life, Marcus. I don't want my father's approval or society's acceptance. I just want you. She looked into his eyes. I love you, and I don't care if that's complicated. I don't care if people stare or judge or make assumptions. I just care about being with you. Marcus's expression cracked. You don't know what you're asking. It won't be easy. I know, but nothing worth having ever is. She took his hand. I'm not asking you to make this easy. I'm asking you to make it real, to give us a chance. What if I disappoint you? What if I'm not enough? You've never been not enough, Marcus. You're everything I didn't know I needed. She squeezed his hand. And I think you're scared. Not of me or my world, of being happy, of letting yourself have something good. Marcus stared at her. Then slowly, he smiled. My mom said you'd figure me out. You talked to your mom about me? She talks to me about you. Apparently you made quite an impression. He pulled Vanessa closer. She likes you, said you've got spine. I like her too. She's wise. Yeah, she is. Marcus cupped Vanessa's face in his hands. I love you. God, I love you so much, but I'm terrified of losing you. Then don't. Hold on to me, and I'll hold on to you. We'll figure out the rest together. Marcus kissed her, soft at first, then deeper, all the longing and fear and love pouring between them. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. So what now? Marcus asked. Now? We start fresh. No client relationship, no obligations, just two people who love each other, figuring things out. I'm not rich, Vanessa. I can't give you the life you're used to. I don't want that life. I want the life we had in the cabin. Simple, real, together. Marcus laughed. You want to chop wood and cook over a fire every day? If you're there? Yes. He kissed her again. Okay, let's do this. Let's be together. Really? Really, but on one condition. What? You let me meet your father, properly, as your boyfriend, not your employee. Vanessa grinned. Deal. 6 months later, Vanessa stood in a small storefront in a quiet neighborhood, looking around with satisfaction. The art gallery was finally ready to open. Nothing fancy, just white walls, good lighting, and carefully curated pieces from local artists who needed a platform. Marcus came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Looks good, he said. It does, doesn't it? She leaned back against him. Who would have thought? Me, running a small gallery instead of attending charity galas? I think your mom would be proud. I think she would be too. They'd taken things slow after that day at his office, dated properly, navigated the challenges of their different backgrounds. There had been stares, questions, awkward moments, but they'd faced them together. Conrad had been surprisingly accepting once he got to know Marcus. He'd even helped Vanessa set up the gallery, though Vanessa had insisted on keeping it small and personal. You nervous about tomorrow? Marcus asked. The gallery's opening was the next day. A little, but excited too. She turned in his arms. Thank you for believing in me, for supporting this. Always. Marcus had started his own security consulting firm with another former Marine. It was small, but growing. He worked with clients who needed protection, but also needed someone who understood them. They'd found a small apartment together. Nothing fancy, but it was theirs, and it was home. "My mom wants to know if we're coming for Sunday dinner," Marcus said. "Of course. I wouldn't miss it." Vanessa smiled. "Your mom makes the best cornbread." "Don't let her hear you say that. She'll make you eat 3 helpings." They laughed together, comfortable and happy. The gallery door opened. A young woman peeked in. "Sorry, are you open?" "Not until tomorrow," Vanessa said. "But come in, look around." The woman entered, her eyes widening as she looked at the art. "These are beautiful. Are you the curator?" "Owner and curator." Vanessa extended her hand. "Vanessa van der Hoven." The woman's eyes widened. "Wait, you're the woman from that video. The one who was falsely accused of racism," Vanessa finished calmly. "Yes, that was me." "Oh my God, I'm so sorry about what happened to you. I never believed it, you know. It seemed so edited." "Thank you. It was a difficult time, but I came through it." "You really did. This place is amazing." The woman looked around again. "I'll definitely come back tomorrow for the opening." After she left, Marcus pulled Vanessa close. "You handled that well." "I've had practice." She smiled up at him. "It doesn't hurt anymore. People will always remember the video. But now when they look it up, they'll see the truth. That's enough." "You're amazing. You know that?" "I learned from the best." They locked up the gallery and walked home hand in hand. The evening was cool, the streets busy with people heading home from work. Nobody stared, nobody cared. They were just another couple in the city, and that was perfect. That night, as they lay in bed, Marcus said, "I have something for you." "What?" He pulled out a small box. Vanessa's breath caught. "Marcus, it's not what you think. Open it." Inside was a key, a simple brass key. "What's this?" "A key to the cabin. I bought it. From your father. Figured we could use it as a retreat. Go back there sometimes. Remember where we started." Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes. "You bought the cabin?" "With my savings. Took every penny, but it was worth it." He smiled. "I thought maybe someday, if you wanted, we could, I don't know, make it ours, officially." "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "Not yet. Not tonight. But someday. When the time is right." He kissed her forehead. "I just wanted you to know I'm in this for the long haul. You and me. Forever." "Forever," Vanessa whispered. "I like the sound of that." They fell asleep, wrapped in each other's arms, safe and loved and home. Outside, the city sparkled with a million lights, each one representing a life, a story, a journey. And somewhere in all those lights, 2 people had found each other against all odds. A lonely heiress and a protective bodyguard. A woman labeled a monster and a man who saw her truth. They'd been broken by the world and rebuilt by each other. And in the end, love had won. Because love always does. 1 year later, Vanessa stood in the cabin, looking out at the snow-covered mountains. The place had been renovated. Not fancy, but comfortable. A real home now. Marcus came up behind her, wrapping her in a warm blanket. "Cold? Not with you here." They'd gotten married 3 months ago. A small ceremony with just their closest people. Mrs. Thorne had cried happy tears. Even Conrad had smiled genuinely. The gallery was thriving. Marcus's company was growing. But more than any success, they had each other. "You know what I was thinking?" Marcus said. "What?" "This time last year, I was so sure we were impossible, that our worlds couldn't mix. I was an idiot." "You were scared. There's a difference." "True." He turned her to face him. But you didn't let me stay scared. You fought for us. You showed me that love doesn't care about backgrounds or what people think. Love just is. Very philosophical, Mr. Thorne? I have my moments, Mrs. Thorne. Mrs. Thorne. She still wasn't used to it, but she loved it. Come on, Marcus said. I made hot chocolate, and I think it's time we start planning what to do with this place. What do you mean? I was thinking, maybe someday this could be a place where we bring our kids. Teach them about nature, about hard work, about finding strength in simple things. Vanessa's heart swelled. Kids? Eventually, if you want. He looked suddenly uncertain. Do you want? With you? Yes, everything with you. They walked inside together, ready to plan their future. Ready for whatever came next, because they'd learned the most important lesson of all. True strength isn't found in wealth or status. It's found in courage. The courage to be vulnerable, to trust, to love. And together, they were stronger than anything the world could throw at them. Together, they were home. The end.